Iron Man XO Man of War in heavy metal is a pretty screwed up name, so let's go ahead and just call it heavy metal. For those that don't know, Man of War is a Valiant Comics character that Acclaim Entertainment acquired when they bought Valiant Comics back in 1996. The concept was to get Man of War and Iron Man together in a 2D side-scrolling action game, slap in some heavy metal music, and the game would sell trillions. Well, as with most Acclaim projects, that's not exactly what ended up happening. Yes, the two characters would be featured in a game together, and yes, the project would have pretty awesome music, but it would be overly simplistic and average in just about every other way possible. The story revolves around the Cosmic Cube and features enemies from both characters' comic series. Now that part I can at least appreciate, and I also like the fact that the game does indeed support 2 players, but outside that, it's very hard to recommend. The game was released on a wide spectrum of platforms, including everything from the Game Gear, Game Boy, to DOS systems and the PlayStation and Saturn. Naturally, you're looking at the Saturn version here. So if you're playing solo, you select between Manowar and Iron Man, and pretty much that's it, off you go. Thing is that the two characters are pretty much carbon copies of each other, so it's not really interesting. You have access to some melee attacks such as punch, kick, and grab, but why use those when you have access to a projectile attack? You can also fly for a brief period of time depending on your boost meter, which is a nice feature if I'm honest. As you progress through the game, you can enhance not only your boost duration, but also your health and your blaster strength, and by the end of the game, you're pretty much a one-man army. But that's all she wrote. Everything else about this game screams mediocrity. The controls are slow and sluggish, enemies are generic as hell, and the placement of turrets is just plain annoying. It's easy to get shot from enemies you don't either see, or that are placed in such a way that you're pretty much guaranteed to get hit at least once before you can take them out. Boss characters are also generic and their patterns are uninspired. I don't like lambasting games, but really, this one is a perfect example of why Acclaim doesn't exist anymore. Very little effort went into the design of this game, and it shows. The level design is basic, the graphics are just okay, but at least the music's half decent. I often get asked which Saturn games fans should check out, and well, this isn't one of them. It's too generic and comes across as a Me Too game. Old school Capcom games on the NES have more depth and entertainment value than this does. But if you're looking for a side-scrolling action game, this is one of the few options you have available if you're desperate. I'd much rather play something else myself. It's hard to believe Marvel would ever approve something like this today, but then again, look at all the different mobile releases we have of varying quality. I'd like to think that they wouldn't bother giving Iron Man, who is now one of their most popular characters, to such a generic playing game.